Now, our goal was to be able to analyze arguments. And the process that we've been talking about is really a two-step process. That is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reconstruct arguments. That is, the arguments don't come in a form where it's precisely clear what the assumptions, what the premises are, and what the conclusion is. So it's going to be our job to try to figure out what the person's argument is. And once we have a model of what it might be, a summary of what it might be, the next thing we're going to do is evaluate the argument. And sometimes we see, well, in evaluating the argument, maybe we didn't have the best reconstruction, so we have to go back to step one and reconstruct the argument. But it's worth going through the steps now of reconstructing arguments. That is, here is what the overview of the process is. First step, we got to figure out, actually, step zero is the passage that we're reading, or is the writing that we're reading or what we're considering, does it really contain an argument? Is it supposed to give you reasons for accepting a conclusion? And if it does, the first thing we have to do to try to reconstruct this argument is identify the conclusion. The next thing we do is, having identified the conclusion and written it down, we now have to figure out what are the assumptions that are being made. That is, we read the passage and we actually take out the assumptions that are being made that are supposed to lead one to the conclusion. Write those down, numbering them. Then when we look at it, we're going to find that maybe there are some gaps in the reasoning, in the logic. And what we're going to want to do is fill in all those gaps. Don't leave it to anyone's imagination. And then we're going to look at our reconstruction, and we might have to go back and adjust the reconstruction using what we have called the principle of charity. That is, keeping in mind that our goal is not to win the argument, prove that the argument is wrong, but rather our goal is to look at it, get the argument to look as good as it possibly can, and then evaluate, seeing, well, does it really give us good reason to believe it? And in doing that, we are going to learn something about the argument and about the problem that we're using this argument to help identify a solution.